Yeah, interesting. And I think with the engineering, that's a huge thing because this summer I interned at Lucid Motors, and there it's like just the core of the company. It was just good engineering, and you really kind of see it get brought out into their products. And you kind of see that more, I'd say, with the startups as opposed to legacy automakers. I know there's some better legacy automaker EVs out, like the Equinox EV and all these. But where do you kind of see the placement of these startups like Rivian, Tesla? I guess we can't really call Tesla a startup anymore, but still newer company compared to these legacy automakers in the US.
Lucid, I think Lucid Engineering is fantastic, by the way. Like, for example, they really invest a lot in being vertically integrated and making everything themselves, which kind of flies in kind of the face of traditional legacy auto for a long time. I'm thinking about making an episode that'll be coming out soon, talking about how like a lot of the parts or features you see in a car, for example, the automatic high beam on a car comes from a little module that sits kind of on top near your rear view mirror. And it has a little sensor. Some of them have cameras, some of them are like light sensors, combination of both. And then a little microprocessor on board that does the math to figure out if there's a car or tail light and to go back to low beam, right? That's how these other companies do it. It's like, let ABC Electronics make that gizmo, and I'll just buy them by the hundreds of thousands at, $5 or $20, whatever it is, and put them in my car. Same thing goes for like blind spot monitoring, right? Most cars have that little dot that shows up. That's another part you have to buy from somebody. You stick in your mirrors, adds to like the unit cost of a car. Tesla has none of that. When they shipped their car, it didn't have auto high beams. It didn't have blind spot monitoring. It didn't have cross traffic alert. It didn't have that feature that they just rolled out where you open the door and there's a car coming really quick. It'll alert you and not open it the first time and warn you that something was coming. Those are all features that were not there when that car was sold, but they've been added. And they were added through new software using existing hardware. So just the cameras, right? If you use the camera feed in front, you can tell when there's a tail light or a headlight, and you can do the auto high beam feature. And a lot of these features are really crappy, by the way. Like the auto high beam for the Tesla was unusable and atrocious when it first came out. But then fast forward 6 months and all of a sudden it's bulletproof and like just as good as any other car I've ever driven. So I think startups have an interesting perspective. Like when you have to either develop a part or go to the parts bin, you kind of start to think, well, if we shape this a little bit differently, we wouldn't need that part. We could do it another way, like, simplify and reduce complexities. Whereas, traditional makers have this kind of supply chain. They have this order already in place to buy that gizmo for the auto high beam that goes up on top of the rearview mirror. And they can save money by adding to that order. And so they just keep buying the same parts that they've kind of historically done. And that's kind of the nature of disruption and startups in general, is you have the flexibility to kind of reimagine because you have nothing else. Like you haven't done anything before. You haven't already bought parts or products, and it allows you to rethink. So that's where